Fabio. I open the door to Salvatore's apartment, dropping to my knees. The scene in front of me knocks all the air from my lungs as if someone punched me hard in the gut. What I'm looking at is horrific. I expected the worst when I saw a blood-stained knife and my best friend's watch on my doorstep with the message "Stiamo venendo per te" written on a scrap of blood-stained paper, which means we're coming for you in Italian. Salvatore is no longer in one piece. They've severed his head and positioned it on the coffee table, looking straight at me. Bile rises in my throat at the vacant look in his still open but lifeless eyes. Blood covers the luxurious beige carpets and white walls. It's a bloodbath so graphic that most people would throw up. But the terrible truth of this life is that the more blood and gore you encounter, the more difficult it is to be shocked or feel anything when you come across it. Sorrowful pain and all-consuming rage slam into me all at once. First, they took my wife, and now, 10 years later, they've taken my capo and best friend. I won't rest until I have every member of the Moretti family's head on a fucking spike for this. The echo of fast-approaching footsteps fills the air as my lieutenant approaches. "Boss, what is?" Lorenzo retches and doubles over, almost throwing up. "Fuck, we better call the cops!" I remain on my knees, my eyes fixed to the vacant stare of my best friend, the man I'd always hoped I'd call a son one day, once he married Aida. Aida may not have liked the prospect. She didn't know Salvatore, as I keep her at arm's length from the family business to protect her. I always expected her to marry him one day. The Moretti family is here in Sicily, which means no one I care about is safe. The only person I care about on this godforsaken earth now is my daughter. Sicily and the Alteri family could fall. Call the cops and tell them I need to make plans to protect my daughter. I stand and stare for one last long moment at the only man I considered worthy of the position. You will step in as interim capo while we sort things out. Lorenzo's eyes widen slightly, but he bows his head. Of course, sir. I won't let you down. I don't respond to him, as none of my men are worthy of the position. Lorenzo is the best of the men I have, but no one will ever compare to the man I just lost. Make sure the police know we need to have a funeral for him soon. I will alert his family. I grit my teeth. I know Salvatore's ex-wife was on speaking terms with him. They have a child together, but she lives in Rome. It will be a tough conversation to have, but I owe it to my friend and his child to ensure they get his inheritance. Life has become a lot darker now that the Moretti family just snatched away my daughter's future. Aida has no one to protect her anymore once I'm gone, and I'm not getting any younger. I march out of the apartment block and get into the town car waiting for me. Home, I order my driver, Paolo. He nods and fixes his attention on the road, driving me through the streets of Palermo. A place I once loved, but as my enemies rip away the people I care about, my love for my home country diminishes. Aida isn't safe here. I have no option but to find her a suitable husband. I need to find someone who can provide her protection from the Moretti family and give me the power to force them to back down. It won't be easy, but it's my only option. 2 months later, I stand on the edge of the cliff top, wondering if it would be easier to jump off and allow the cresting waves to take me away from this desolate and cruel life. Today I have to do something that will hurt my daughter, but if I allow her to see any reluctance, I'm not sure I'll be able to go through with it. The Moretti family has already issued threats against her. In the 2 months since Salvatore's death, they have become more aggressive with their tactics. They want to take control of Sicily. If that were to happen and Aida was here, I know all too well the gruesome fate she'd fall prey to. I won't risk her life even if the only way to protect her isn't exactly great either. Milo Mazzeo was the only man to bite at the chance of partnering with me, and I had to push for him to marry Aida as part of the deal. The crunch of the ground underfoot catches my attention, making me aware that my daughter has arrived. I turn to face her, feeling an ache in my chest at how beautiful she is, as beautiful as her mother was. "Aida, please join me," I say, holding out a hand to her. Aida takes my hand. We stand in silence for a moment, gazing over the view of the azure Sicilian sea. "How are you, father?" I swallow hard, wishing I didn't have to do this. "As well as I can be. As always, work is stressful. I don't talk to Aida about my work, shielding her as best as possible from the terrible things I'm involved in." I glance at Aida and squeeze her hand gently, wishing things had been different. "I asked you to meet me here, as I have some news, amore." Aida smiles at me, which only makes my chest ache more. "What is it?" she asks. I pause for a moment, grappling with the words about to come out of my mouth. "I found you a husband." Ada's eyes widen in shock. "What?" I smile, but it's forced and unnatural. I've kept you safe, Aida, but now it's time another man takes the role of your protector. I clench my jaw, knowing the type of man I'm sending her to. It's ridiculous that he is the better option than allowing her to fall into the hands of the Moretti family. Milo Mazzeo wants to marry you in his hometown, Boston. Aida drops my hand, stepping away from me. There's silence as she processes the news before she shakes her head. No, I won't marry that man. He's as evil as they get, father. I don't need a protector. I want to marry a man I love, not by an arrangement. I drop the false smile and narrow my eyes at her, knowing that the only way is to take the hard line and pretend I don't care. You'll do as you are told, Aida. Why would you give me to a man like him? She asks, her voice cracking with emotion. It was always the intention to marry you to a man that can increase the power of our family's business, Aida. I grab her shoulders, knowing that I'm breaking her heart. I don't want any disobedience. You will marry Milo Mazzeo. End of discussion. I thought you cared about me, she murmurs. Those words stab me like a knife to the gut. I care about her. She's the only thing that matters to me in this world. My gaze remains pinned to the blue of the azure sea, as I know if I look at her, I'll crack. Your mother's death changed me, Ada. I hate how much you remind me of her. If you're in Boston, that will solve the problem. It kills me inside to say these words to her as they're not true, but I know it's the only way to get her to leave and not come back. I block out the emotions and glare at my daughter. I don't want you here. Aida's eyes quickly fill with tears. What would Mother think if she could see what you are doing to her only child? The mention of Leanna snaps something inside of me, a reminder of what I've lost and what I'm still to lose. Don't fucking talk about her. I grab her wrist. She can't see because she is dead and gone, Aida. I shake my head. There's no such thing as happy endings in our world, so you will have to accept your fate with dignity. It's a truth that has become too real for me of late. She fights away from me and rushes back the way she came, putting space between us. I watch, hating that I'm hurting her. These will be my last moments with her before she's on the plane. Milo expected me to attend the wedding, but this is bad enough. I can't trust myself to attend, or I'll end up breaking it off. Aida walks dangerously close to the cliff edge, making my heart accelerate. Aida, come away from there, I call. My dutiful daughter obeys, walking toward me again. She wipes the tears from her face. When will I be leaving? I glance over her shoulder at Aldo and nod. Right away. Aldo grabs her shoulder. The car is waiting to take you to the airport. We've packed all of your things, and they are already on the plane. Ada stares at me in shock. Won't you at least let me say goodbye to my friends? I shake my head, knowing it's too risky. I won't risk you running. Aldo is to take you straight to the airport. Ada breaks away from Aldo, looking up at me for a moment, before rushing toward the descent off the cliff top. I nod at Aldo for him to follow, knowing she won't get far. Aldo grabs her before she starts her descent down the cliff. He drags her back toward me. Stop this at once, Ida! I grab her wrist to stop her from fighting. There's a moment of hesitation before I give Aldo the signal. Guilt coils through me like a disease as Aldo stabs the needle into Aida's neck, administering a dose of sedatives. What the hell? Aida proclaims, clutching her neck. I have to remain strong, knowing that any sign of weakness she could crumble my resolve within an instant. It is best if you can't fight. By the time you wake up, you will be in America. Aida shakes her head. You drugged me? It's for your own good, I say. Knowing that's the only thing I've said on this cliff top, that is not a lie. Aida can't stay in Sicily, not when we're on the brink of war. My little girl has always been so strong as she fights not to cry, glaring at me. You will be in Boston before you know it and married. Your life here will be a memory, embrace it. I say, keeping my gaze cold, goodbye. I turn away from my daughter, feeling tears welling in my eyes. Every step I take away from her, the pain in my chest grows. Aldo, please don't do this. I hear her plead with her bodyguard. I'm sorry, I don't have a choice, Aldo replies. The tears fall down my face. It's been 10 years since I cried. Even at Salvatore's funeral, I couldn't cry. Losing Leanna was the hardest thing I've ever had to deal with, but losing Salvatore and now Aida in such quick succession takes first prize. Once I'm certain Aldo has taken Aida out of sight, I drop to my knees. The weight of the empire I hold on my shoulders is crushing, and the guilt over not protecting the people I love is as heavy tears stream down my face as I stare up at the sky. knowing that my world has become darker still. The Moretti family has forced me to send away the only love and light in my life. 10 months later, the image of blood painting the walls of my best friend's apartment is impossible to get out of my mind, especially when Benito Moretti sits at the other side of the boardroom table smirking at me. The reason he's dead. I should get up from this chair and strangle the life out of him, even if it will cause my death. These board meetings are fucking pointless and dangerous. I could never comprehend why the firm would ever want to bring enemies into the same room for a meeting. The shares I own in the financial firm in Rome are a front from laundering cash from our operations, as is the same for the Moretti family. They own Naples, and just over 10 months ago, they were trying to take Sicily. The Moretti family has been a thorn in my side for too long. Thankfully, they have little power over me since my alliance with Milo. Benito is the cocky 28-year-old son of my enemy, Rafa Moretti. He's a coward who has no business sitting among the men at this table, and yet there he is, smirking at me. The other people at the table are inconsequential to me. Alfeo Sabatelli runs the north of Italy, and he keeps to himself. We've never had a run-in with each other, but we're not exactly on friendly terms either. Riccialo runs West Italy, Tonio Busa runs East Italy, including Rome. Finally, of course, the Moretti family runs the south of Italy, including Naples. All the shareholders of this company are Mafia, 5 of us in total. Our ancestors set up the company to keep the peace between the different regions and launder money for all 5 families. It made sense when it was established, as there were no wars for territory, but in time the situation in Italy has become less stable. Are there any objections to the proposed moves for the company? Thierry Fernando, the CEO, asks. I am here to satisfy the shareholders. If I didn't make an appearance, I know Benito wouldn't hesitate in undermining me. The entire meeting I've hardly listened, as it's all bullshit. I'm glad to see no one objects. Thierry claps his hands. In that case, I will end this meeting. Everyone stands, but I remain seated. It irritates me when Benito also remains seated, giving me that stupid smirk. If it weren't for the risk of war, I'd kill him right here and wipe that smirk from his face permanently. After a few moments, everyone else has left, leaving both of us sitting opposite each other. Aren't you going to leave, Moretti? I ask. He tilts his head. I could ask you the same question. I shake my head and stand, not intending to play games with this man. He's childish and pathetic, if you didn't have protection. I glance at his bodyguard, who steps forward. I'd kill you right here and now, I say, glaring at him. He pales slightly, as his father has shielded him from true brutality. He's a puppy dog, and I'm a wolf ready to devour him. It's because of these assholes that I had to break my daughter's heart, an act that has haunted me ever since. It was the only way to ensure we were safe, even though I knew I was taking a risk giving her to a man like Milo. Thankfully, Milo assures me she's safe and happy, which is as much as I can ask for. He has frequently asked me to visit Boston, but I won't leave Italy until I'm confident that my new capo can handle operations alone. I want to rip Benito's fucking heart out and ship it to his father as revenge, but I know that doing so would throw the whole of Italy into chaos. It's tempting, though, as I could take down his bodyguard and him. Watch your back, I say, before walking out of the boardroom. I've been at this far too long, and there is no end in sight. Salvatore was like a son to me, and I always expected him to take over the business. I'd hoped that Aida might have married him instead of Milo. But the one thing I've learned is nothing in life turns out how you expect. When Salvatore learned about their plans to take Sicily, he got the message to me before the Moretti family killed him in cold blood. They had intended to invade my country and take it over, forcing my daughter to marry Benito. There was no way that I was going to let that happen. So I knew I needed backup and a powerful ally, even if that ally is in Boston. Once the Moretti family found out that I'd partnered with Milo Mazzeo, they backed off instantly. It was a necessary move to protect everything, including Aida. The only proper way to bind our organizations was to offer Aida to him as a wife, hoping they'd provide an heir. I had to break her heart to force her to leave. It was easier if she hated me. The look she gave me will haunt me until my dying day. All I can hope is that she finds happiness with Milo. I walk out of the boardroom and bump into Thierry, the CEO of the company. Fabio, it's great that you could come for the meeting. His brow furrows. How are relations between you and the Morettis? I shake my head. As bad as they ever were, but we're at a stalemate. He smiles. So a Cold War, essentially? I nod. You could call it that? Yes. Thierry runs a hand through his long, dark hair. That's got to better than an active war. He looks wistful. I'm so sorry about Salvatore. I know you two were close. I clench my jaw. I expect casualties in a war, I say, not letting Thierry know how much Salvatore's death hurt me. Thierry might not be a threat, but I let no one know my true feelings. If you do, enemies can exploit the part of you that cares. His expression turns stern. Indeed? Are you staying in Rome? He asks. I shake my head. No, and that's why I must leave now. I intend to be back in Palermo by the evening. Thierry looks surprised but nods. Of course. He steps out of my way. I will be in touch when the next board meeting is. I grunt in reply and walk away from him. These board meetings are a hassle that I don't need, but Salvatore always attended them before he died. Lorenzo, the man I'm training to be my capo, doesn't have my trust yet. I step out of the building and onto the streets. The Rome streets are busy, and the air is polluted. It's one reason I hate coming here. Sicily is my favorite place on this earth, and I don't particularly appreciate leaving it. The car is waiting outside of my building, and Aldo gets out when he sees me. He used to be Ada's bodyguard, but after I shipped her away, he became mine. Good meeting, sir? He asks as he opens the door for me. I shake my head. A meeting can't be good when a Moretti is in attendance. I clench my fists as I get into the car. Of course, sorry, I asked sir. He shuts the door and gets into the driver's seat. The jet is ready for takeoff as soon as we arrive, Aldo says. I nod. Good. I want to be back in Sicily before nightfall, I say, desperate to get out of the city. Unfortunately, the traffic in Rome is always bad, so the likelihood is we'll be back in Sicily later than I hope. I'll try to get us to the airport as fast as possible, he says, before raising the privacy screen between us in the car. The car moves for a few blocks only to come to a halt in traffic. I sigh heavily, sitting back in the chair and trying to relax. The empire I hold upon my shoulders has become a heavy burden, one which I have no choice but to shoulder. Liana and I didn't have a boy. After Aida was born, we were told we were lucky to conceive her as Liana wasn't very fertile. I never worried about succession, as I loved Salvatore like a brother and knew he would look after the empire and Aida. I expected him to marry Ida, hoping they could continue the legacy my ancestors built. Instead, the Moretti family stole that from me too. It wasn't enough that they killed my wife, they had to steal away everything else that mattered to me. I'm not a stupid, hot-headed man. My plan to exact revenge on them has been in play for a long time, but every time I think I'm getting close to executing it, they throw a spanner in the works. I loosen the tie around my neck. The longer I remain in control of the Sicilian Mafia, the more it weighs me down. My father died when I was 20 years old, and I took over. It's been 29 years of blood, war, and deceit. 29 years of losing the only people I care about in this world. All I'm left with is a darkness that grows with every year that passes. Aida was the only light I had left in my life. But when the Moretti family forced me to send her away, they left me with nothing but a pit of eternal darkness. A darkness that threatens to consume me every single day. Gia, happy 21st birthday, Sienna says, clinking her glass against mine. It may be my birthday, but I can't help feeling down because my other best friend isn't here. Aida left Sicily about 10 months ago now, and I rarely hear from her at all. Sienna waves a hand in front of my face. Why does this seem more like a funeral than a birthday celebration? I sigh heavily. Sorry. I just can't believe Aida isn't here. Sienna smiles sadly. I know nothing is the same without her. Her brow furrows. Has Aida not got in touch? I shake my head. No, it's the first time I haven't seen her on my birthday. I sigh heavily. I reckon she's too caught up in her new life to remember us. That's not true. Aida has a lot going on with the war. Her husband is fighting. Sienna digs her phone out of her pocket. Why don't we try to call her? We can do. It will be late morning in Boston. I shrug. She probably won't pick up. Sienna finds Aida's number and attempts to video call her. It rings for a while before cutting out. I sigh heavily. It's as if Aida's forgotten about us entirely since she moved. My brow furrows. I hope she's okay with that terrible man. Sienna grabs my hand and squeezes it. She's fine. The last time we spoke to her, she said she was happy with him. They're newlyweds, so it's not surprising she doesn't have time for us at the moment. I nod and take a drink of my Chardonnay, trying to forget about the hole that Aida has left. Her father is an asshole for sending her away as he did. I think we ought to go to Aida's house and give her bastard of a father a good telling off. Sienna shakes her head. Don't be a fool, you know who her father is. I'm well aware of who he is. Fabio Altieri practically runs Sicily. He has more power than the government does on this island. Are you suggesting he might kill us if we went over there? I ask, downing my third glass of wine. I'm suggesting that going over to a Mafia Don's house drunk and telling him off for shipping his daughter away is a terrible idea. Sienna grabs the glass out of my hand. Why don't you slow down, Gia? She places a hand on my shoulder. I shoot her an irritated glare. Because it's my birthday, I say, snatching the glass back. I love Sienna, but we've certainly clashed more since Aida left. Aida was the glue that held us together and the buffer whenever Sienna and I disagreed. We're hopeless without her. At least we've resisted killing each other for 10 months. The worst part of it is that she hasn't yet bothered to wish me a happy birthday. Sienna places her glass down. Why don't we dance? I glance at the dance floor, feeling my stomach churn. Since Aida left, everything has been less exciting. Ever since we were kids, it's always been the three of us. I'm not sure. Sienna shakes her head and stands, hooking her arm with mine. You need to get out of this slump. Come on, we're going to dance whether you like it or not. She forces me out of my chair and drags me onto the dance floor, which is crowded. It's as if she planned it as one of my favorite songs of all time plays, Get Lucky by Daft Punk. It's impossible not to move to the song as we both sing along, laughing. The moment I'm on that dance floor, the sadness I'd felt that Aida forgot about my birthday fades away. We dance together, allowing the music to take over the night. The buzz of the wine makes it even more enjoyable as we finally stop and sit back down, laughing. I needed that. I smile at my friend. Thank you for always trying, even when I'm an impossible grump. Always. Sienna takes my hand and smiles. More wine is in order too, she says, getting the server's attention. She comes over. What can I get for you? 2 more glasses of Chardonnay, please, Sienna says, handing her the empty glasses. I glance at my watch, noticing it's almost 11 o'clock. I have to be up early to open the shop in the morning. Maybe we should cancel the wine and call it a night? Sienna shakes her head. No way. You only turned 21 once. I sigh. I've got work in the morning. 1 more hour as I wanted to check out a new bar. We will finish our drinks and then head straight there, okay? I hold back my remark that 1 hour always turns to 2. It's not worth trying to argue with Sienna. If the shop opens a little later, it won't be a big deal. Thursdays are always our slowest days. Fine. The waitress brings us our drinks, and Sienna talks about a party a girl from our high school is throwing tomorrow night. Do you think either of us will be up to drinking more alcohol tomorrow? I ask. Sienna laughs. You know me. I'm always up to drinking more alcohol. I shake my head. I don't think I will want to drink, but I'll come along for the party anyway. That's the spirit, Sienna says as she knocks back the rest of her wine in record time. Now drink up. We need to check out this new bar everyone is talking about. I knock back the rest of my drink, feeling queasy the moment I do. When I stand up, I can't walk straight and grab hold of Sienna's arm. I hope you can walk straighter than I can right now. Sienna chuckles. Not sure, to be honest. I shake my head as she leads me out into the streets. We're about to step into the road when a limousine blares its horn at us. It slows right down and the guy shouts something out of the window. My heart skips a beat when I see Fabio Altieri sitting in the back. It instantly brings my attention back to my anger over Aida being taken from us. That son of a bitch almost ran us over too. Sienna's brow furrowed. Who are you talking about? I point after the car. Mr. Altieri was in the back of that car. Seriously, we should have stopped it and given him a good telling off. I shake my head. I thought you said it was a bad idea to tell him off about anything. I did when I was more sober and before he almost ran us over with his fancy pants limousine. I laugh. You make no sense. Come on, let's get to this bar you've been going on about. What is it called? Sienna nods up the street. Topaz. My stomach sinks as I remember reading about it in the local newspaper. Great, a place ran by the man who almost knocked us down and stole our friend away. Sienna stares at me with wide eyes. He owns Topaz? She asks. I nod. Let's be honest, Mr. Altieri owns Sicily. Sienna sighs. Unfortunately, you're right. She hooks her arm with mine again and leads me toward Fabio's new fancy bar. I can see why the place got featured in the newspaper. It's a beautiful bar with the best view of the beach. Wow, this is a nice place. Sienna nods. Yeah, I'm sure the prices are nice too. One drink and then we go home. Agreed? Agreed, I reply, walking toward the bar in the center of the courtyard. A man grabs hold of my hips before I make it there. Hey, sweet cheeks, do you want to dance? He asks. Yank his hands off me and spin around. No, I don't. Keep your hands to yourself, creep, I say. He holds his hands up, swaying slightly. Calm down, bitch. I roll my eyes, knowing that nothing good can come from arguing with a sexist piece of shit like him. Sienna hadn't noticed that I got caught up. As she searches the crowd for me, I join her at the bar. Men can be real idiots, I say. Sienna raises a brow. What happened? Some dick back there grabbed my hips and called me sweet cheeks. I roll my eyes. A pig, basically. Sienna wrinkles her nose. They're all pigs on this fucking island. The bartender passes her 2 glasses of wine. We need to find nice men in Rome or something. No chance, my life will always be in Sicily. I take a glass of wine and knock half of it back. There's one thing I'd never do, and that's move because of a man. Sienna makes a dismissive noise. Fuck that if some rich and handsome man who lived in Rome wanted this. She gestures to her body. I'd move there in a heartbeat. She drinks some of her wine, glancing around the bar. Unfortunately, we know every man worth knowing on this island, and they are all disappointing. I sip the rest of my wine, feeling down about my future. Sienna has a way of making prospects on this island seem hopeless, but then she's never loved it the way Aida, and I do, I think. It's because she moved here when she was 8 years old. I'm empty, I say, holding up my glass. Sienna downs the rest of hers. Fair enough. Are you ready to go home? She asks. I sway a little, shaking my head. You go ahead. I'm going to walk along the beach alone for a bit. Sienna's eyes narrow. That's a bad idea on your own. I'll walk with you. Don't be silly. I want some time alone. I hug Sienna, hoping she'll understand. She looks at me uncertainly before nodding. Okay, be careful, and I'll see you in the morning. I nod, turning away from her. See you tomorrow. Sienna says nothing else, allowing me to head down the alleyway toward the beach. I know I've drunk a few too many glasses of Chardonnay when I almost trip over the cobblestones. My head is pounding. I pull out my cell phone and sigh when I see my screensaver. A photo of the 3 of us on the beach last year. I decide to try Aida's cell phone since Sienna couldn't get through. The dial tone sounds a few times before cutting to her messaging service. I sigh and stow my phone back in my purse. It's as though she has forgotten about me entirely. I take off my high-heel shoes and step onto the sand, enjoying the softness beneath my bare feet. The sound of the water gently lapping at the shore is calming. I feel angry and hurt that Aida forgot my birthday, but I know she's got a lot going on in Boston. She has a new life now that doesn't include Sienna or me. As I walk along the beach, I realize that I'm heading straight toward Aida's home, a place I remember from many days spent there as a young child. After Aida's mother died, she no longer wanted to have us over, always insisting on getting out of the house. The man who stole her away lives in that same villa. Deep down, a part of me wanted to walk along this beach to get answers. As I get closer, the temptation to walk in there and demand an explanation of why he sold his daughter to some cruel, vindictive bastard on the other side of the Atlantic gets stronger. Aida trusted him, and he broke that trust. I don't understand why he sold her to a man known for his cruelty. The fancy villa sits back from the beach and is dimly lit. Fabio has many guards, but Aida always boasted about the secret entrance. Only she knew about the cellar, is easily accessible from the beach, and leads into the main heart of the villa. Aida kept it a secret from her father, as it was her only way to escape without Aldo, although she didn't take the chance too often, as getting caught would have been disastrous. I make it to the small hatch on the beach that leads into the home, lifting it. It's impossible not to be a little nervous as I stare into the dark, cavernous hole. The sensible part of me knows this is a bad idea. The drunk, angry part of me wants answers from the man who never struck me as cruel when we were little. He may be dangerous, but he doted on Aida. It made no sense when he sent her away, telling Aida he can't bear to be around her because she reminds him of her mother. Fabio Altieri always struck me as a ruthless man, but one that cared about his family above all. I haven't spoken to him since I was 11 years old when his enemy murdered his wife. Perhaps her murder changed him in ways I can't understand. I've seen him around Palermo many times, and I always attend the annual ball he holds. There was no way I'd ever approach him, though. Not since Aida stopped asking us over to their home. I shuffle onto my knees and drop through the hole into a small, compact tunnel. My shoes remain on the beach by the opening since I can't carry them and go through. It's the first time I've gone into Aida's home like this. We always met her on the other side, and it's cramped. Luckily, I'm not claustrophobic. The tunnel is long, but it finally opens up to a vent which I push open. Carefully, I drop out of the vent hole and into the basement of the Altieri residence. My eyes widen when I see the hundreds of bottles of wine carefully stored in stunning wooden racks made to fit every side of the basement. Fabio must like his red wine to have this many bottles. I sneak out of the basement and into the main corridor of the home. It's hard to get my bearings since I was 11 when I last stepped in here. Fabio's study was the one place we could never go. It's the first place I intend to start my search for the Don. My heart is pounding so hard I can hear it. There's no doubt that what I'm doing is certifiably insane. If I was sober, there's no way I'd sneak into a mobster's home. The study is down a small corridor, and to the left we used to sneak in here when Fabio was out, because we were told not to. I reach for the door, trying to still my fast heartbeat. When I open the door, I find the study empty. I exhale a breath I didn't realize I was holding, stepping into the study. Although Mr. Altieri banned us from coming in here, it was always my favorite room because of the floor-to-ceiling bookshelves on one side. Mr. Altieri has so many books I often wondered how he got the time to read them. Her mother was the one who loved to read. I walk toward the bookshelf and run my hand along the spines of the number of expensive first edition books. The click of a gun being cocked behind me turns my legs to jello. "What are you doing here?" A deep voice rumbles behind me, sending goosebumps prickling over every inch of my skin. I don't need to turn around to know that Fabio Altieri is standing behind me, aiming a gun at me. That deep, booming voice has haunted my fantasies for as long as I can remember. Slowly, I turn to face him with my hands up. I swallow hard as I haven't seen him up close like this for quite a while, let alone spoken to him. He's wearing a pair of black pants and a white t-shirt that shows off his bulging muscles and tattooed arms. His hair is a stunning gray that only a man as gorgeous as Fabio can pull off. My heart rate accelerates as our eyes meet. His dark, almost onyx black eyes flash with recognition. My stomach flutters and I quickly turn into a little girl with a crush again. "Gia?" he asks, his voice softening as he lowers the gun. I'm surprised that he recognizes me. I nod in reply. "Hello, Mr. Altieri?" There's a tense silence that falls between us as Fabio's eyes wander slowly down my body. I feel the heat rising to my cheeks at the way he takes in every curve. His eyes pause on my exposed cleavage, making me hotter than fire. He moves his attention back to my eyes, and the look in them knocks the air from my lungs. Fabio stares at me with a desire that sets my soul on fire. He looks like a hungry wolf, ready to devour his prey. The problem is, I'm the prey, Fabio. I stare at my daughter's friend, wondering how on earth she got in here. A muscle in my jaw ticks as it's almost impossible not to notice her perfect curvy figure. Gia is all grown up now. The last time I saw Gia, she was only 11 years old. Aida stopped bringing her friends here after her mother died. I know deep down that Aida always blamed me for her death, since my enemy killed her in the crossfire of a war I'd been fighting. "What are you doing here?" I ask again. Gia swallows hard. "I'm here for answers," she says, setting her hands on her hips to look confident. The movement draws my attention to her curvy body again. It's impossible not to notice her tempting full cleavage in the tight black dress she is wearing. Her hips are round and perfect for grabbing. Swallow hard, realizing how wrong it is to think about her like that. She's 21 years old, and it's clear from the glassy look in her chestnut eyes that she's drunk. I'm knocking on 50 years old in just over 3 months. Nothing could ever happen between us, not to mention Aida already hates me enough for sending her to Milo. Answers to what? I ask, indulging her for a moment. The girl has some guts to break into my home and demand answers to anything. She sighs heavily. "Why the fuck you sold your daughter to some cruel mafia don all the way in Boston?" Her question snaps me out of the lust-filled daze she had drawn me into. "It's none of your business." I stalk toward her, forcing her to take steps backward until she's pressed against the wall. "What right do you have to break into my home and demand answers from me?" There's only a few feet between us now, and I can smell her sweet strawberry scent. It fuels the desire blazing inside of me, desire that I haven't felt in a very long time. 10 years it's been since my wife was taken so cruelly from me. Leanna was the love of my life, and her death changed me. Since then, I've not wanted a woman the way I want my daughter's friend. Answer me, I order. She jumps at the tone of my voice. I miss her so much. She shakes her head. I want to know why you would send away your only daughter like that. Gia looks up into my eyes, and there's a sadness in them. A sadness I want to soothe, but know that I can't. Gia, I had no choice, and we will have to leave it at that. I can hardly believe the softness of my voice. The column of her throat bobs as she stares into my eyes. I'm surprised when I see what looks like desire in the depths of hers. Okay, I guess I'd better be going, she says awkwardly, still not breaking our lingering eye contact. A brief silence lingers between us, filled with tension. Would you like a drink, I ask. Gia's cheeks flush and she finally breaks the gaze. Oh, I don't know. She looks down at the floor. Sienna reckons I have already had too much to drink. I can't help but smile at her endearing bashfulness. Were you out celebrating a special occasion? Her eyes meet mine again, and she nods. My birthday, I clench my fist, resisting the urge to confirm her age. It doesn't really make my questionable desires any better whether she's 21 or 22. She's too fucking young. I insist, you must have a drink with me to celebrate. Gia smiles at me, and it's such a beautiful smile. Okay, thanks, Mr. Altieri. I almost wince at her calling me that. Call me Fabio, you're an adult now. She nods, cheeks reddening more. Sorry, Fabio, she says, her voice quiet. I can't understand why hearing her say my name drives me crazy. I shouldn't have asked her to have a drink with me. Follow me, I say, leading her out of my study and toward the open-plan kitchen and living room. Gia follows quietly, and when I turn around she is standing awkwardly in the center of the room. Take a seat. I gesture toward the sofa. I can't help but watch as her hips sway temptingly with each step she takes. It's as if everything about her is made to draw me in to take a bite. I grind my teeth, focusing my attention on getting her a drink. What is your poison? Gia licks her bottom lip out of nerves, but it adds fuel to the fire that is blazing inside of me. My cock is harder than a rock in my tight boxer briefs, making it almost impossible to think of anything but pushing her against the wall and making her mine. Do you have any Chardonnay? She asks. I nod. I'm sure I can find you some. I walk into the kitchen area and open the wine fridge, selecting the most expensive Chardonnay I have. Will this do? I ask, holding it up for her to see. Her eyes widen. That's expensive. Don't you have it cheaper? I wave my hand dismissively. It's nothing. I open the bottle and grab 2 glasses. I'll share it with you. She smiles again, and I feel that desire building. It's been too long since I felt like this. I have had many brief flings with women since my late wife's death, but they were nothing more than a way to take out my frustrations. The desire I feel now is always lacking. Pour us each a glass of wine and pass hers to her. Our fingers touch as I pass the glass, and it feels like a shock of electricity snaps through my body. I know she feels it too as her eyes widen and lips purse together. My cock is still hard as she discreetly clenches her thighs. I know Gia wouldn't be able to handle the shit I'm into, and that's not even mentioning how wrong it would be for us to cross that line. Thank you, Gia says, trying to diffuse the sexual tension in the air. I sit next to her, watching as she takes a long sip from her glass. Gia is mesmerizing. How is it? I ask her. Eyes move to meet mine, and her cheeks turn red again. It's great. She glances at my glass. Why don't you try it? I'm too busy staring at her, but I don't tell her that. That would be a good idea, but I wanted to get your opinion. I grab my glass and take a sip. It's good, but I prefer whiskey. Gia's nose crinkles. I'm not a fan of whiskey. I laugh. Few women are. She looks irritated by my comment. That's a sexist remark. I don't respond as I did not intend it to be sexist. It's the truth. Most of the women I've met don't like whiskey. How did you get into my home and pass the guards? I ask, intrigued that she could outsmart them. She shakes her head. I didn't need to get past the guards. There's a hesitation before she carries on. I guess it doesn't matter now. Aida isn't here. She has a secret escape from the basement to the beach. My eyes widen. A breach in the security of my home, I ask, feeling frustrated that Aida would have kept it from me considering the danger that surrounds our family. Gia shrugs. Yes, but Aida used it to sneak out, now and then when she wanted to go to a party without Aldo trailing behind. Aida always was resourceful, and it's a credit to her she didn't get caught. The mention of my daughter only irritates me. Ever since I broke her heart and forced her into Milo's arms, I try not to think about her. I can show you where I got in if you want to block it up, Gia suggests. I wave my hand. No, don't worry. I'll get my men to find it in the morning. Our eyes meet again, and it feels like my entire body is on fire. There's no way I'm imagining it. Gia wants me as much as I want her. I can see it in her stunning chestnut eyes. What do you do for a living, I ask, trying to break the tension between us. She knocks back the rest of her first glass of wine. I opened a little flower shop in the center of Palermo. Gia smiles. I've always loved flowers, and working with them every day is a dream. I admire Gia for following her dreams and opening her own business. It takes guts to do something like that, not knowing if it will work out. Are you doing well with it? She nods. Yes, I'm booked solid, and have had to employ 2 flower arrangers to help me. I grab the bottle of wine and go to fill up her glass, but she stops me. I'd best be going. Gia glances at her watch. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. She sets the glass down on the table and stands. Are you sure you can't stay to finish this bottle off? I ask, knowing I don't really want to drink it. Gia shakes her head. No, but thank you for the drink. I set the bottle down on the table and stand. The unbelievable desire to act on my perverse fantasy with this girl is difficult to ignore. I grab hold of Gia's hand. You don't have to rush off, Tesserina, I murmur, using the term little treasure in Italian. It's what a man would normally call his girlfriend, but it just feels right calling her that. She pulls her hand away. I need to get back or Sienna will wonder why I've been so long. My brow furrows. You live with Sienna? I ask, remembering the other little girl that my daughter used to have over to the house. Gia nods. Yes, ever since my mother died 4 years ago from cancer. I didn't know her mother had died, but I've been out of the loop of general Sicilian society for a long while. Her mother was a well-known seamstress and owned a shop in Palermo, too. I'm very sorry to hear that. Her worthless father abandoned Gia and her mother when she was only 3 years old. To have lost her mother so early in life must have been hard. A tension falls between us as we are silent. Let me walk you out, I say, placing a hand on the small of her back. She tenses at my touch, turning even redder in the face. Once we get to the front door, she moves away and spins to face me. Sorry that I stormed in here asking for questions, she blurts out. Don't be. I step closer to her and set my hands on her hips possessively. I enjoyed meeting you all grown up, Tesserina. Our eyes lock, and the desire that mounts between us is palpable. It's as if it draws all the oxygen from the air, as Gia starts to breathe heavily, her chest rising and falling in quick movements. All I can think about is having her naked and writhing beneath me. I clench my jaw and let go of her hips, knowing how wrong it is to want her. She takes a step away from me. It was nice to speak with you, Mr. Altieri. She puts her hand out to me. I shake my head. I told you to call me Fabio, Gia, I say, grabbing hold of her hand and pulling her closer to me again. Did you forget? She licks her bottom lip, which draws all my attention to her lips. No, sorry, Fabio. She stares up at me with lustful eyes, and it breaks all my control. Fuck it, I growl, wrapping my arms around her waist and lifting her against the front door. I've wanted to do this ever since you broke into my home, naughty girl, I say, before pressing my lips to hers. Gia instinctively wraps her arms around my neck and her thighs around my waist. Her mouth parts eagerly as my tongue delves inside, searching it with frantic need. I feel my cock leak into my boxer briefs as she moans into my mouth. The clawing need to be inside of her only increases. I set her back down on the ground and spin her around. My body remains tight against her as I let her feel the hard press of my cock against her ass. I want you, Tesserina. I murmur into her ear, teasing it with my teeth. Can you feel how much I want you? Gia visibly shivers, arching her back. Yes, I can feel it, she whispers. I run my hands down her hips, making her tense. Do you want it, naughty girl? I ask, gently moving my hand under the skirt of her dress and teasing my fingers over her inner thighs. She shudders. I don't. We shouldn't. I spin her back to face me and kiss her lips again. I always get what I want. I hold her against the wall and move my finger between her thighs. Gia looks torn between giving in to temptation and doing what is right. The right thing would be to stop this before it goes too far. I'm not one who often does the right thing, though. I feel the lace of her panties and slide a finger through them. The fabric is wet, meaning she's wet for me. I groan and slide my finger through her soaking wet lips. So wet for me, Gia. She moans softly as I slide a finger into her perfect pussy. This is wrong, she says, but she doesn't tell me to stop. I kiss her neck. Why does it feel so right then? She moans as I move my finger in and out of her, groaning at the thought of her perfect tight pussy wrapped around my cock. Her eyes fall shut as she leans her head against the door. I wrap my fingers around her throat and squeeze. Be a good girl and let me look into your eyes, I order. Her eyes open and it feels like she sets me on fire with her lust-filled gaze. I capture her lips, continuing to thrust my finger in and out of her perfect pussy. I hold her gaze and move my finger to her clit. She moans softly as I tease her. That feels so good. I bite her shoulder softly, continuing to push her toward her climax. Si, spagliamo, I murmur into her ear, saying, let's get naked in Italian. It seems my suggestion snaps her to her senses. No. She places a hand on my chest and pushes me away forcefully. We shouldn't have done this. I've got to go. She reaches for the door handle before I can stop her. I watch as she flees my home, leaving me sexually frustrated. I slide my finger into my mouth and taste her juice. Amo il tuo sapore. I murmur the words as I watch her rush away, words that I would have said to her. I love how you taste. My cock is harder than a rock in my pants. I shut the door of my home and lean my back against it, unzipping my pants and pulling my cock out. I groan as I pump my fist up and down, thinking about the beauty that just escaped me. The last time I was so wound up, I had to take matters into my own hands. I was a young man and had recently met my first wife. I think about all the filthy things I wanted to do to the young beauty that just left. My cock throbs as I bring myself closer and closer to climax. The image of her panting and writhing beneath me, tied to my bed as I fuck her roughly, is enough to bring me to the cliff edge faster than ever. I roar as I come undone, shooting cum onto the travertine floor of my villa. The mess doesn't bother me. I'm lost to my urges like a primal beast. Gia drives me as crazy as my late wife once did. I never thought I'd find that desire again. In fact, I thought those urges had died along with her. It's a dangerous game. Gia is my daughter's best friend, a daughter that hates me enough already after what I did to her. We may have crossed a line tonight, but no one ever needs to know. It's best we keep far away from each other and try to forget about it. I can't understand why a niggling voice in my mind tells me it's impossible to stay away. The voice tells me that Gia is mine already. Gia, I run from the wolf's den, sprinting down the beach toward Palermo, carrying my shoes that I grabbed on the way past. I'm not sure why I'm running, as I know he won't chase after me. Part of me knows that if I don't run, I'll fall into his trap and take things too far with him. My heart is racing faster than my feet can carry me. There's no doubt in my mind that I'm the worst friend in the world. I crossed a line that should never have been crossed. Despite how much alcohol I've had, I feel sober. Our encounter sobered me up, so I can't even blame it on being drunk. Once I'm at a suitable distance from Fabio's home, I slow down and walk more leisurely back to the apartment. My mind won't stop replaying the hot, passionate kiss that I shared with my best friend's father. Let's be honest, it wasn't just a kiss. If I hadn't broken away from him, I'd be in his bed right now. I groan, placing my hand on my forehead. Ever since I was old enough to notice men, I've had a secret, or not so secret, crush on Fabio Altieri. He's the epitome of a silver fox in every sense of the word. Beautiful gray hair, stunning dark brown eyes, and muscles that would put a lot of 20-year-old men to shame. I want him more than I've ever wanted anyone. My phone buzzes and I pull it out of my purse. It's a text from Aida. I'm so sorry I didn't take your call. I didn't want to ring as I know you will be asleep now. Happy birthday, I'll call you tomorrow. I let out a deep exhale of breath and set the phone back in my purse. Unlock the door to the shop and head inside, going up the back steps to the apartment. Carefully, I sneak through to my bedroom without making a sound. Sienna is probably fast asleep, but I'm not sure how I'd explain a walk on the beach taking close to 2 hours. Aida would kill me if she knew what happened between me and her father tonight. I hate that our moment of passion was the highlight of my birthday. There's a deep ache between my thighs ever since he kissed me. I undress and get into bed, glancing at the alarm clock on the nightstand. It's 2:30 in the morning and I'm not even tired. I am sexually frustrated and reeling from the passionate moment with Fabio. I reach between my thighs, rubbing my clit. My body is overly sensitive after what just happened. I bite my lip to not make a sound and slip my fingers into my pussy. I shut my eyes and remember how good it felt when his thick fingers slid inside of me. The entire situation was intoxicating and beyond exciting. My nipples harden as I finger-fuck my pussy harder, biting my lip to stop myself from moaning. Sienna is in the room next door, and I don't want to wake her. The overwhelming desire I felt when Fabio touched me was unlike anything I've ever felt. It was as if his touch burned me. Maybe it's the forbidden aspect that made it hot, or maybe it's because I've admired his stunning good looks since I was about 15 years old. It doesn't really matter why I felt so drawn to him. All I know is it's fucking wrong, and once I've climaxed, I need to forget about the entire night. It will just be a hot dream that I had one night and nothing more. I rub my clit, feeling myself getting closer to the edge. My body is on fire as I think about his rough beard grazing my skin and his muscular arm lifting me against the wall. The way he thrust his fingers inside of me, as though he had the right to do whatever he wanted, was hotter than I'd expect. He was rough and frantic, as if he had no control over his urges. When I felt his hard cock against my ass, all I wanted was to feel him inside of me. Fabio, I murmur his name as I feel myself getting close. The thought of him fucking me is all that it takes as I come undone. The force of my orgasm is stronger than anything I've felt before. Fabio is the reason for the intensity, my best friend's father. I quickly feel the guilt and shame coil through me as the pleasure wears off. There's something very wrong with me for wanting a man like him, a man that stole her away from me. Tonight was a dark and forbidden fantasy come true, but one that is dangerous to reflect on anymore. I need to forget what happened between us. I arrange a mix of stunning powder pink peonies with white roses, making sure the bouquet looks perfect. I'm working on an arrangement for a wedding tomorrow. It's been a year since I opened Natural Beauty Florist, and ever since I've been booked solid. It's been 2 weeks since I broke into Fabio's home and we crossed a line that we shouldn't have crossed. I'm pretty sure I'm going insane. All I can think about is the man I shouldn't want, his powerful muscles, his masculine scent of whiskey and musk, his stunning silver hair. Everything about him drives my hormones into overdrive. That's not even mentioning the way it felt when he grabbed my hips so possessively, pushing me against the wall as if he couldn't control himself. A snap in front of my face pulls me out of the lust-filled daydream I'd fallen into. "Are you all right?" Sienna asks, standing there and staring at me. I nod. "Yes, why?" "I literally came in and asked how you are and you just stared into space like you were deaf or something," Sienna says, looking at me questioningly. I shrug. "Sorry, you know how I get when I'm focused on work. I was in my own world. My world where Fabio and I were crossing the line. I could never tell Sienna what happened that night. She would be as mad at me as Aida would be." She shakes her head. "Yes, I know. Did Aida ever ring you?" I sigh heavily. "No, last I heard from her. She sent a text in the early hours of the morning after my birthday." I shrug. "She said she would call the next day, but never did." Sienna sets her hands on her hips. "She may have moved halfway across the world, but the least she can do is wish you a happy birthday over the goddamn phone." She shakes her head. "It's not acceptable." "It is what it is," I say, finding it hard to be angry at Aida after what I did with her father. Sienna's brow knits together. "You've changed your tune since your birthday?" "Yeah, well, as you said, she's a newlywed and has a lot going on in Boston." My chest aches as I say it. "I think it's about time we accept that she's gone and she isn't coming back." Sienna sighs this time. "You're right," she shakes her head. "I just always thought that maybe she'd escape and come back, you know." I nod in reply, as I'd hoped for that too. The last time I spoke to her, she had changed her opinion about her husband, though. She said that although he had been cruel at first, she'd fallen for him. I couldn't quite understand it after the things she told me he did. But then we can't choose who we fall in love with. I honestly believe fate brings people together. If that's the case, why did I wind up in my best friend's father's arms? I know we both had hope, but I think there's only so much you can have. I shake my head. It's time we both move on, and when Aida can, she will visit. I'm sure of it. Sienna doesn't look so convinced. "What are you working on?" I look down at the centerpiece I'm putting together. Centerpiece for a wedding this weekend. I glance around the shop. I've got a lot more arrangements to do for the wedding, including the bridal bouquet. Where are the two girls you employ? I shake my head. Both booked this week off for holiday. It's the trouble when you employ a couple. They always want their holiday at the same time. Sienna laughs. Well, you shouldn't employ a couple in the future. Do you want me to give you a hand? No, don't worry. I'm going to get it all done easily as I've got tomorrow to finish. I brush her offer to help off as last time her arrangement was a little too messy. Sienna doesn't have the patience for flower arrangement. My brow furrows. Why aren't you at work today? She shrugs. No real estate viewing, so I've got the afternoon off. She sighs. It's been a little rough lately. I tilt my head to the side. Why is that? Sienna rests her elbows on the counter and her face in her hands. I don't know. It seems foreign investment has dried up. She glances down at the flower on the table and picks it up, twirling it between her fingers. Hopefully it picks up soon, or they might lay me off. I set my hand on her arm. Whatever happens, at least we won't lose the apartment. Sienna smiles. I know her parents moved back to Rome 2 years ago, leaving us to get an apartment for ourselves. I had been living with them since my mother died, and my mother had left me an apartment in her will. I sold it to buy this shop and our apartment above it. I'll finish up soon and need to go to the shop. Do you need anything? I ask. Sienna looks at me thoughtfully. I'm making pasta, but I think we're out of Parmigiano. Can you get some? I nod in response. Of course. She walks toward the back of the shop to go up to our apartment. I finish the centerpiece floral arrangement and set it down carefully on the table before grabbing my purse and heading into the streets. I had only intended to go to the shop, but the moment I step out into the center, I find myself heading somewhere else first. I cross the road and head down the same cobbled alleyway I took the night of my birthday 2 weeks ago. The fact is, I have no intention of breaking into his home again, but I can't sit by and do nothing while I go insane. Once I get to Fabio's house, I place my business card through the door. There aren't many guards at the front, and none of them asks me what I'm doing. As I walk away, I immediately regret posting the card through his door. Now the ball is in his court, and if I don't hear from him, I'll probably go insane. The thought of waiting makes my stomach twist as I head back toward the shop to get Sienna's cheese. There is definitely something wrong with me for trying to continue the forbidden path I started on with Fabio. He is off limits. Not to mention, Fabio is broken in ways I can't comprehend. It's a shame that I've always had a tendency to fix things that are broken. Fabio is the ultimate challenge, a challenge I should keep my distance from. So why the hell did I just post my business card through his door? Fabio, Sir Milo Mazzeo has requested you attend a party in Boston next month. Lorenzo says, leaning against the doorframe into my home office. How should I respond? I run a hand through my hair, shaking my head. How long does he expect me to be in Boston for? There are only so many times I can refuse his invites, after all. I was absent from my daughter's wedding. Aida couldn't understand the danger she was in here in Sicily. She believed my capo's death was just a deal gone wrong, not a feud reigniting the same feud that killed her mother. Lorenzo clears his throat. He didn't say. The party is on the 3rd Saturday in May. I look at my capo, trying to gauge whether he can hold down the fort for a weekend. Are you ready to step into my shoes if I go to Boston for the weekend? Lorenzo nods. Of course, sir. I can handle everything while you're in Boston. I know Lorenzo's careful and competent, but I've never had to trust anyone but Salvatore. Very well. Tell him I will be there. I run a hand through my hair, knowing that Milo needs my support in the war he's facing in Boston. The Irish have been coming at him hard lately, and he's losing men. I'll let him know. Lorenzo lingers in the doorway. Is there something else? I ask. His brow furrows, and he slides a hand into his pocket. Someone left this card through the door. Does it mean anything to you? He asks, stepping toward my office desk. He places a card down on my table, and I pick it up. The front of the card has flowers on it and the name Natural Beauty Florist. I turn the card over and instantly know who left it. On the back it reads, Call Gia Di Campo and her cell number. I feel my cock harden as memories of that night 2 weeks ago come flooding back to the forefront of my mind. A day hasn't gone by when I don't think about the moment our lips touched. If it hadn't been for Gia pulling away, then I would have had her in my bed that night. Yes, it's for me. Thank you, Lorenzo. Lorenzo looks a little surprised, but doesn't ask me about the card. Instead, he nods. If that is all, sir? Yes, please leave me. He walks away stiffly and shuts the door. I stare at the card for a while, contemplating my next move. Could Gia have been thinking about our moment of passion as much as I have? I pull my cell phone out of my jacket pocket and add Gia as a contact before typing a text to her. I got your card. Have you been thinking about me, naughty girl? I hit send and place the phone down on my desk, staring at it impatiently. What we did is wrong, and taking it any further is a bad idea. I can't seem to resist her. I turn my attention back to my work. There's a planning application for a new hotel to be built close to mine on my desk. All planning applications in Sicily have to go through me before they get put to the council. I have no intention of approving this one, especially when the guy applying is some Russian I know nothing about. The government's willingness to accept our power in Sicily makes my situation unique. I rule the island and everyone in it, even if it's thinly veiled. The Alteri Mafia family has had strong roots here for centuries, and that will never change. I press a denied stamp on the bottom of the page and toss it into the denied pile. My cell phone buzzes and I check it, seeing Gia's name on the front. I feel my cock harden, wondering what she's going to say. Yes, I can't stop thinking about what we did. I groan, rubbing my hand across my cock, which is already painfully hard. The past 2 weeks it has felt like I'm a teenager again, jerking off constantly and thinking about Gia. Have you played with your perfect pussy while thinking about me? I send the text knowing that I shouldn't be pushing this. Aida hates me enough as it is, let alone adding in an affair with her best friend. I grind my teeth together, feeling my common sense and my cock fighting each other. The phone buzzes and I groan at the sight. There's a photo of Gia in a pair of lace panties and bra with her hand in her panties. The message accompanying it drives me wild. Every time I touch myself, I think of you. I glance at the door to my office, which Lorenzo left open. Instead of getting up to close it, I free my cock from my boxer briefs and fist it in my hands. There's no stopping me when I'm like this. I feel like a horny teenage kid, but I can't help it. The picture is fucking perfect. I take a photo of my cock and send it to her, along with another message. Such a dirty little girl. I'm thinking about being inside your perfect tight pussy right now, Tesserina. I focus all my attention on her photo as I take myself in hand. The fantasy of her thick lips wrapping around my shaft as she takes me into the back of her throat flashes into my mind. I grit my teeth, fisting my cock even harder. The image quickly turns to me grabbing a fist full of her hair and fucking her throat so hard she can hardly breathe. Cazzo, I growl, fucking Italian as my balls ache for release. The phone buzzes again and I look at the screen, feeling my cock twitch when I see the image. Gia has sent a photo of her tight little pussy dripping and wet. My pussy is soaking wet and ready for your cock, sir. I clench my jaw, knowing that this innocent young girl can't handle me. She's playing with fire. The image is perfect, and I think about her tied to my bed, blindfolded and gagged. My cock throbs, and I know I'm near my release. The thought of taking her tight little pussy rough and hard is all it takes to send me over the edge. I lift my shirt up and come on my abs, roaring as the release hits me. Once I've drained every drop of thick, pearly cum, I grab my phone and take a photo. My cum should be deep in that tight little pussy of yours. My breathing evens, and I grab a tissue from my desk, cleaning myself up before pushing myself back into my pants. There's something deeply wrong with me for crossing that line with her, even if it is via text message. The phone buzzes, and there's another photo of Gia with her dripping wet pussy and a damp patch on her bed. Mine should have been all over your enormous cock. I groan as I stow my phone back into my jacket pocket, knowing how dangerous we're being. If we start this, then there is no going back. The last time I desired a woman the way I desire Gia, I married her. I've always been a rough lover. Dominating a woman is the most exhilarating experience, and my late wife loved to submit. It's why we fitted together so well. The women I fuck accept my rough and ruthless ways during sex, since I'm rich and they want to experience the high life. Gia isn't like that. She's not like the women who like to fuck me for a ride on a yacht or in my jet to London or Paris. I get up from my desk feeling restless despite relieving myself. Gia is going to be the death of me at this rate. The only thing that calms me when I'm like this is a long swim along the coastline or a jog since it's April and still a little cold in the sea. I opt for a jog, I get changed into my workout clothes and head out of my living room door and down onto the beach. The sea air clears my head as I try to stop thinking about the tempting 21-year-old girl that has captured my attention like no other woman has in years. I start along the beach toward the center of Palermo, although I normally run the other way. The pull of stumbling into the woman who is driving me crazy is the only reason, even though it's unlikely. I force one foot in front of the other, jogging as fast as I can. The sea breeze against my face is calming as I head along the stretch of white sand. A jog helps me relieve tension whenever I'm frustrated. As I run, I can hardly keep Gia out of my mind whenever I work out. It's an easy way to clear my head, but I can't clear it. She's infected me like a disease, and I can't stop thinking about her. By the time I get to Palermo, I'm more frustrated than I was when I started running. I sit down on the sand and rest my head in my hands. Ever since Salvatore's death, I've been reeling on the edge of losing control and barely holding on. He was like a son to me. To top it off, I lost my daughter too. I clench my jaw, feeling regret weigh me down. My way of life has lost me everyone I care about, and I'm left an empty shell of a man with nothing but darkness and hatred. I sense someone watching me intense. It's rare I'm in Palermo alone without a bodyguard, despite not having many enemies on the island itself. When I glance over my shoulder, I instantly relax. The beauty I can't get out of my mind is staring at me, frozen like a statue. There's indecision in her eyes, as if she was wondering whether to approach me. I should turn away and ignore her, but I can't. The first night was a slip-up, but the texts were a confession that she wants me as much as I want her. There's no way I'm going to keep away from her. Not now we've crossed the line twice. Gia is the ultimate prize, and I don't back down from a challenge. She will be mine, consequences be damned. Gia. Why are you constantly checking your phone? Sienna asks, handing me a tray with some pasta on she made for dinner. I shake my head. No reason. I stow my phone back in my pants pocket. The reason I keep checking it is that Fabio hasn't replied to my last message, and it's been 40 minutes. Our texting quickly descended into sexting in record time. It's clear from his messages that he wants me as badly as I want him. I tuck into my pasta, which is delicious, but I hardly have an appetite. There's silence between us as we eat, other than the blaring radio that Sienna will never turn off. I pick at the food, keeping my attention on my cell phone, which is on the coffee table in our living room. I need to stop thinking about the man who is off limits and totally forbidden. Sienna finished eating long before me, running the faucet to wash up the dishes. I can't stomach any more of my pasta, so I take the dish to the sink and throw my leftovers in the bin. Sienna grabs the bowl. Didn't like the pasta, she asks. I loved it. I'm just not very hungry. Sienna raises a brow. When are you ever not hungry? Tonight, I say, laughing. I walk back to the living room and sit on the sofa, grabbing my cell phone and checking it. There's still no message from Fabio. I notice it's about 10 minutes until the sunset. I'm going to go out for a walk, I say. Sienna looks over my way, nodding. Okay, do you want some company? I shake my head. No, I want some time alone if that's all right. Sienna looks disappointed but waves her hand. Sure, see you later. We are two opposites, Sienna and me. She has to be with people and talk all the time. Whereas I like the quiet and time alone, Aida was more like me. I grab my purse, slipping my phone into it. How about some gelato for dessert on me, I ask. I thought you weren't hungry? I laugh. You know, there's always room for ice cream. Sienna nods. I can't argue with that. You know my favorite. I do. Sienna's favorite is salted caramel, and I love chocolate. I head down into my florist shop and then out of the back exit onto the cobbled alleyway behind and head straight down to the main street. I take the first street that leads to the beach. Sicily is a beautiful place to live, and it was an amazing place to grow up, even if my father didn't think so. He abandoned my mother when I was only 3 years old. Other than a few photos I've seen of him, I can't remember him at all. My mother rarely dated again, and when she got cancer 5 years ago, it was the hardest time of my life. She battled for a year before finally losing her fight. If it weren't for Sienna and her parents, I don't know how I would have made it through. Ada was a support too, but Sienna's family took me under their wing and supported me in ways I can never repay. When they left for Rome because Antonio, her father, had transferred to the main headquarters, it was a bit of a shock. Thankfully, Sienna had no intention of returning to Rome because of her job. I always counted myself lucky that I have such natural beauty on my doorstep. The white sand beach comes into view, and I walk faster toward it. A cool sea breeze encases me as I wrap my arms around myself. It's quiet on the beach this evening, most likely because of the cool wind. The moment I get closer to the water's edge, I wish I'd grabbed a coat before I left. The sun is slowly descending toward the horizon, painting the sky in a deep crimson and orange hue. I glance to my right, feeling my heart skip a beat. Fabio is sitting with his feet in the surf, staring out at the sunset too. He's wearing sports clothes, and sweat glistens on his forehead, suggesting he's been running. I swallow hard as I try to decide whether to turn around and walk away before he sees me, especially after the texts I sent him barely an hour ago. Common sense screams at me to turn around and walk away. However, another part of me is egging me on to approach. Fabio decides for me when he glances over his shoulder. Our eyes meet instantly, and I'm frozen to the spot by his intense gaze. Fabio's silver hair catches the dimming light, and his face is almost golden. He smiles at me in a way that makes him look heartbreakingly handsome. I feel heat filter through every inch of my flesh as I remember the photos he sent me, and I sent him. There's something very different when you're actually in front of the person rather than behind a cell phone screen. Fabio pats the spot of sand next to him. Gia, come and sit with me. I swallow hard, glancing around the beach. What would people think if they saw me watching the sunset with Fabio Altieri? Palermo is a small town. Hell, Sicily isn't exactly a big island. Everyone knows everyone, and gossip can spread like wildfire, whether or not it's true. Thankfully, the beach is almost deserted, and all I'm doing is sitting. It's not like I'm going to jump his bones in public. I sit next to him so that there are a few feet between us. What are you doing this far down the beach? I ask, keeping my attention on the setting sun. Fabio's home is 2 miles up the beach. Fabio clears his throat. I needed a jog and came this way. When I saw the sun setting, I paused a moment to watch it. I can feel his intense gaze on me, and it's a little intimidating. Why are you on the beach? He asks. I finally glance at him. I needed some fresh air and time alone. He laughs. Oh, I'm sorry to have interrupted your alone time. I shake my head. Not from you, but living with Sienna can be a bit much. I tear my eyes from his. I enjoy the quiet, and she's always got to be loud. Fabio sets a hand over mine, making my heart skip a beat. I enjoyed the peace too. Have you found it comforting since losing your mother? I swallow hard, feeling a lump form in my throat. I have found that whenever I'm down, the peace and solitude is a comfort. Life is too hectic, and taking a moment to pause and reflect helps. Before my mother's death, I was a bit more like Sienna, but her loss changed me. Yes, I say simply. Fabio says nothing, merely holds my hand as we enjoy watching the sunset in silence. I hate the way my stomach flutters with butterflies at his touch. It's wrong to even flirt with this man, let alone consider taking this further than it has already gone. The sunset is beautiful, isn't it? Fabio asks, breaking the tense silence between us as the sun finally disappears beyond the horizon. It is exquisite, I say, meeting his hot and heavy gaze. There's so much tension between us, it draws all the oxygen from the air. The darkness in the air cloaks us from prying eyes, making the temptation to cross the line again even stronger. I shake my head. I wouldn't have come here if I'd known. Fabio places his hand on my thigh, stopping me mid-sentence. I jog this direction in a hope of seeing you, Gia. My heart skips a beat at the sentiment, and I shuffle uncomfortably in the sand. This man is off limits, and even thinking about crossing the line again is wrong. It's also dangerous. If anything happens between us, then I'll lose